Hello and welcome back to Asia Now. Let's go ahead and skip some of the news and read today's question, take a look at some answers, and stick around till the end. I'll give you guys my personal thoughts on the question itself. Here it is. I am on a fixed income of approximately 20,000 US yearly. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being lavish living and 1 being a dirt floor, no air conditioning, aluminum shack poor, how would I fare in the Philippines or even Thailand? Outside of heavily tourist areas, I know Manila, Cebu City, Bangkok, and Pattaya are expensive, for example. I'm not planning on living in those areas, even if I had lots of disposable income. Before we dive into some of the responses, let's state the obvious that this is a very subjective topic, of course. However, I'm glad he gave us a scale, 1 being like sleeping on the floor with no AC, and 10 being like a lavish lifestyle. So keep that in mind. Here's the top answer. Someone says, are you into bars? Do you want to do lots of dating? Will you have to support a woman and or children? If you can answer no to all the above, you can live like a king on just under 100K Philippine pesos. So I'd say 8 or 9. I spend about 80K a month. I rent a big house on the beach with a huge garden, run a car and a bike. Eat and drink whatever I want, but I only go out to eat and drink once or twice a week as I love cooking. That's good to mention. Let's go ahead and take a look at the exchange rate. So 20,000 monthly would be around 1,666 US dollar, about 96,000 pesos. So that kind of gives you a baseline of how much to expect to be spending within that month. And this person makes some excellent points, right? So if you're out there drinking and partying, and that's very important to know, if you're supporting a family or a girlfriend or wife, someone like that, you have to basically do that budget almost into 2. Of course, accommodation, you can still do under 1 person, but then you might need like some more space, some more room. You're going to be taking care of another person. Are you outside drinking, partying? What is your lifestyle? It's going to depend a lot on how much 96,000 pesos goes in the Philippines. Thailand is cheaper to live than the Philippines, but no one speaks English. That's an excellent point to make. Sometimes I hear this theory that the Philippines is cheaper than Thailand. It is not. Maybe you, if you haven't been living in either of those countries for a long time, you might think this is maybe the Philippines of 10, 15 years ago, or 20 years ago, or maybe times where you were in the military or something like that. But in 2025, if you're going to step away from the red light district and live somewhat of a normal life, Thailand is cheaper. The food is cheaper, accommodation is cheaper, delivery services, internet, you name it, it's slightly cheaper. From my personal experience, I would say between 10 to 15% realistically cheaper in Thailand. So yeah, keep that in mind, because a lot of times I hear this and I disagree like wholeheartedly. Thailand is cheaper if you're living here. If you're gonna come here, spend 2 weeks and just stay in the red light districts perhaps, and maybe engage and indulge in some stuff, yeah, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive, Thailand, in that sense. But if you're gonna live here, retire here, not to mention about the visas and all that, I'm saying just like living long term, I'm not really sure about Thai visa. I know it's difficult to get for retirement, so some things to consider. And no one speaking English, not very true. Unless you're, of course, a much older person, only hanging around with older people that are Thai, they will not speak English. But a lot of the younger generation, the 20s and 30s, will be speaking somewhat, at least slightly basic level English. From my personal experience, 10, 12 years ago now, when I first came to Thailand, a lot more people speak English now than ever before. Someone actually shares their budget, which is kind of cool, to give you guys a reference, and says, I think there are months without my daughter that I would hit these numbers, $16,675 a month. I made one for another member at $1,400. You can see this below. Obviously, they broke down everything, which is kind of cool. Another person says, I am doing just fine on $800 a month. Actually, Negros Oriental, Bayawan City, modern 2-bedroom house on a small lot with fenced yard. I have a large dog, modern bathroom, nice housing community, Aparos Village. I run my AC like 6 to 8 hours a day. It's me, my woman, and her 5 children too. Oh my goodness. We have an EV and motorcycle to get around. Nothing lavish, but just fine. My man's living out here for $800 and taking care of 6 additional people. Come on, man, what are you doing? If this guy can do it, we could all do it, right? That's amazing. Amazing in the sense that 7 people living on $800 a month. He says he's doing all these things with 2-bedroom house in a proper district, running AC 6 to 8 hours a day. All those kids are gonna need to go to school. They're gonna need to eat. They're gonna need cell phones. So I don't know how much he's putting towards the kids, but I mean, it's gotta be a little bit of something. So kind of interesting to see the different lifestyles you can expect. Another big thing is, of course, your location. Where is you living at, right? If you're gonna be living in the most like popular places around the Philippines, you're gonna pay a lot more than you think, and probably very close to your home country if you want to live lavishly, or at least a decent condo or something, or a house or something like that. But if you step away maybe a few kilometers down the road one way or the other, I guarantee you those prices will drop for sure. And lately, with the exiting of the Pogos peoples, I've actually seen the market itself reduce a little bit in rentals. So that's also something to consider, right? So the longer you stay, the longer you rent, the cheaper your accommodation, which I think is your biggest expense usually in the Philippines. So keep those things in mind, but kind of cool to hear someone's, I guess, life of 7 people. Another person said, where I live, it's a city, not huge by any means, but we have 3 malls, a city proper, a lot of stuff you can do. You can survive here with eating out once or twice a week, 2-story house with 2 bedrooms, both have AC, and all bills for our family of 6, plus a nanny. So if 7 included her for less than 1,000 USD per month, so 12,000 a year, you figure you will have 8K per year extra to play with, so you can live pretty good in a non-touristy city in a good area that's for 7 people with kids going to school. Also, the fare for the school weekly is around $21. If this helps, there you go, another person, 7 people. These men's out here doing big things, right? And as far as not charity, but like helping the locals as well. Imagine you being a man and coming to the Philippines and providing for 5 kids and a mother, which is, yeah, some people are into that and can do that. So if this guy can do it for under $1,000, then I think this other gentleman being by himself at $1,600 shouldn't have any problem, at least living. But then the question really wasn't about living or surviving. It's about lifestyle. Is it a 1 or is it 10? And that's what I think we have to discuss. What kind of lifestyle can you expect for $1,600 in the Philippines? I would love to hear your thoughts right now. Where do you live? How much is about, like, you're paying monthly? You don't have to get into detail if you don't want to, but I'd love to hear some budgets, some numbers, some lifestyle from 1 to 10, and how much is that costing you? Because I'm going to read a couple more things and I'll tell you my budget maybe and how I'm living in the Philippines. Another person says 7. If you dare go somewhere in the province. I'm in Eastern Samar, which is a day traveling from Manila. Life is cheap here. I spend about that much with wife and kid, but my wife owns the house we live in. We bought it together. I paid, she signed for it, so we don't pay rent. We have a helper and aircon in the bedroom, not in the living room. A significant portion of our expenses are maintenance and slowly upgrading our house. We live a simple life, though, and I don't think that is for everybody. The beach is never far away, wherever you go in the Philippines. Another angle of someone actually living somewhere without paying rent, but I suppose he paid for the house anyways, and it's not really in the city, right? So you get an idea, and this person is saying a 7 with that kind of money. Another person says, for $1,600, you could live decently without frills. The scary part would be unexpected medical emergencies. Definitely have savings for a flight home, just in case. Lastly, don't forget any prescriptions you take can add up. Meds typically aren't bad here, but if you take a bunch, they can add up significantly. My only other advice is please ignore the gut instinct to see a few guys swearing to live on $500 a month, no problem. There are 0.001% of those here. Most I don't believe, and the few I do own their houses. Though I know one guy who's squatter with his wife. Whoa, some insight there as well. Medication, healthcare, that's a whole other part of life right now. Luckily for me, I have no experience in. I don't take any medication, so I wouldn't really know. Plus, I wouldn't even know how to start getting covered with insurance or any idea. I think I went to the doctor once in the Philippines, just like a checkup, and I think some blood work cost me like, I don't know how much, $12, something ridiculously cheap, but that was just to get a checkup. I wouldn't really know about medical stuff. So once again, if you guys are in the Philippines living there, share any experience you have regarding medication, healthcare, hospitals. I do some videos on my main channel talking with foreigners, but I still don't have quite a good understanding. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Like I know Manila has like a veteran hospital. I don't know how much they cover. So you have to keep that in mind if you're coming here at an older age and have a lot of stuff, even a younger age. If you're taking medication, essentially, right? So it doesn't matter your age, but if you have health issues, that might also add up too. Let's get into some more numbers from 1 to 10. Someone says 3 plus or a 4 minus. Just to get the bare minimum on your visa, it is 18,000 pesos per year. Plus you're going to need that 10,000 deposit for the duration of your stay, which is only refundable under certain conditions such as a condo or investment, or exit the country. And a yearly 360 for ACRI. Bear in mind your Medicare insurance isn't going to be any good and you will need to buy insurance. Yes, if you are healthy, your 20,000 will go a lot further here than in the US. But if you're having chronic illnesses such as diabetes, hypertension, cholesterol, you need to think carefully, and that goes for other expat destinations around the world 2. Once again, some person making it very clear. If you got health issues and concerns, it might be a bit more pricey than most people think. But I think we'll stop there and I'll tell you guys what I think and what lifestyle I would expect for that kind of money. Let me start off by saying this is once again very subjective. Your 1 can be my 3 can be your 5 can be my whatever, right? So what you consider lavish may be different than what I consider lavish. This is around my budget, to be honest. I probably spent around 1400 USD in the Philippines, and I have no wife, no kids, no support of any kind, but most of the time I eat out pretty much every meal, so consider that as well. Not every meal, but daily I eat out regularly. I have coffees multiple times a day. I take taxis everywhere. I live in the center of the city in Cebu City, either in Ayala Business Park or IT Park itself. I go maybe a few weekends here and there, so that I wouldn't say lavish, but I say it's very comfortable. So from my perspective, I think 7 would be a good answer for 1600 for a single person with no additional costs, expenses, medical, and all that stuff. Now, a lot of people might think that's maybe a little bit too high, a little too low. But once again, like I said, for my lifestyle, what I consider like my air conditioner's on all the time, not all the time, but whenever I need it, I don't really consider cost, and usually it's included in the cost of my rental, so it doesn't bother me. My food, I eat out generally all the time. And if I cook at home, I still pretty much cook stuff that are Western. So the meat's gonna cost me some money, the vegetables, the fruits, all the sauces. My hot sauce alone, I pay 200 pesos for habanero hot sauce I eat with 2 sittings or 3 sittings, right? So I would say that's pretty lavish. I mean, not lavish where I'm pushing a Ferrari or Lambo, but lavish for a single guy that came from Canada and is not really into partying and, you know, getting into vices and all that. So I think, yeah, 20,000, you have a pretty good life in the Philippines. All I know overall, from my personal experience, I probably spend about 1/3 of what I would in Canada for the exact same lifestyle. So if you want to come here, if you're healthy, and you want to save about 66% on your budget, you can do that. Now, not everything is gravy, not everything is fun and fine and smooth, but those are some things you have to consider and set your expectations, because you're coming to a country that's developing in the middle of the ocean somewhere with a whole bunch of typhoons, with a bunch of stuff that's just not quite to the standards or the living expectations. If you've never been here, just give yourself some time to adapt, right? But you'll learn. You'll learn a lot of these things. And when you come to any country, whenever you travel, the first week or month you spend the most, because you don't know quite what's going on, how to get around, what are the local prices, where to shop, where to go. All those factors are gonna basically help you further down the road once you get into like 3rd or 4th month or week or whatever, depending how fast you can adapt. If I had to give a number, I'd say about a 7 for sure. I'm not one of those guys that's gonna sit here and tell you can live like a king for $1,000 a month. Condo, your rents, I actually did a video recently if you guys want to check that out. I'll put the link in the description just in case. But my condo tour and how much I'm paying, about $475 all inclusive, right? So when you have another 1,000, 1,200 left just on food and other stuff. So I think it's pretty good. What do you think? What number would you give it from 1 to 10? 1 being very poor, living on the floor with a shack, a metal shack, he said, and 10 being lavishly doing whatever you want. Leave your number down below. Let me know what you think of this video. And that's it for this one. I'll see you guys tomorrow with a regular news content. Bye.